Before we begin, please be advised that this episode will discuss sensitive topics, including themes of suicide, sexual topics, and mental health, which may be triggering for some listeners. Please take care of yourself and consider skipping this episode if needed. So, I'm very excited to have our first guest for the Spiritual Chancla with us tonight. She was actually my first guest on the radio as well when I was hosting my Spanish language-based radio show called Apaga la Luz y Escucha. And I'm excited to introduce to you all Josefina Lopez. She is a woman that needs no introduction, but I'll give her one anyways. She's a playwright, filmmaker, screenwriter. She does even more than that. And also I want to extend a congratulations for Real Women Have Curves, the announcement of it going to Broadway. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And how are you feeling tonight? How are you?
I'm a little tired. I've had a long, dramatic day.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also a shaman in training and a curandera, a curandera in training, which is something that I'm very proud of, that I would like people to know about me, because I am definitely a wise woman. When I was a little girl, I was asking very challenging questions, like why am I here? At 5 years old, I remember asking, why am I here? And I remember thinking, oh, it's because I'm here to help humanity. A lot of people don't know that, but I was born awake. I was asking questions like, what am I here to do? And I knew that I came to Earth to make a difference. And I knew that I was supposed to do something, because already I remember in 8th grade, I was trying to write a self-help book for couples. I was trying to do things that were beyond my age. And I was already thinking, I have to write self-help. I have to help people. And I was a little kid, So I think I was meant to do this. And in my writing, I have deciphered a lot of wisdom that I want to share with people. And so I put it in my plays, I put it in everything I do. And anyway, yeah, some people mostly know me as a writer or screenwriter and an activist, but I'm also a wise woman in training.
And, speaking to the wise woman that you are, you've, clearly had a lot of life experiences, especially with the shamanism in particular. Is there one experience kind of early on that you recall that kind of made you think like maybe there's a little bit more than just the mundane, aspects of life of doing the dishes and going to school or going to work?
Well, one of the things about me that I didn't realize was not normal is that I have attention deficit disorder. So I have a brain, and the scientific explanation is that my frontal lobe did not develop properly, because more than likely I was born premature, and more than likely my mother didn't get enough nutrition, and that's why I was born premature. And therefore, this frontal lobe that is supposed to filter a lot of external stimuli, it does not work properly. So it only filters every other thing. So I get more information, I get more feelings, I get more visions, more thoughts. Like my senses are accentuated. And some people would even say, oh, you're a hypersensitive child, and I probably have both. And there's a difference between being hypersensitive and then having attention deficit disorder. And then there's also a difference between being psychic. Some people will even say that it's the same. But so when I was a little kid, I just knew things about people. Like I just knew the truth about a lot of things. And to me, it was just clarity. And then when I would speak it and people would get upset at me, like what? And I would be like, why are people upset at me for telling the truth, for just speaking the truth? That's obvious. And then I realized that it wasn't obvious to everyone. It was obvious to me that people were cheating on each other. It was obvious to me that things like that, and nobody else could tell. And I'd be like, okay, I guess it's not obvious to everyone, And then the other thing too is I would feel other people's feelings, and I would watch commercials on TV, and I'd see all these children in Africa starving, because they had those commercials, and I would cry and I would write poetry to deal with my pain, which maybe is not quite normal, but But I realized that poetry is the way spirit speaks to you. So I could write poems and songs and lyrics. They'd always come to me, and I just thought that was normal. And then, later when I started training as a shaman and I met this shaman in Peru and
Mm-hmm.
he would speak to us in poetry, I just thought, oh, I remember asking him, are those songs that you're singing? Um, what is it? There's a name for that song, and I forgot the name of the song now. Ícaro. I think that it's an Ícaro is a song that heals you. And he was speaking to us in Ícaros, and I said, "Oh, is that Ícaro that comes from your family, or is that something you learn?" And he said, "No, Spirit is speaking to me right now. Spirit speaks to me in poetry, in healing songs." And I was like, "What? I've been doing this my whole life. I just thought it was normal that I hear poetry to give voice to feeling and pain. And I just thought that's just what I do in my writing. Oh my God, I've had this gift my whole life, and I just assumed this is the way I am." And so I actually had to learn from shamans things that I already knew. Like it's almost like when they would say that, and I'll be like, "Oh my God, I know how to do that," because I naturally know. And the more I trained in shamanism, the more I said, "Wait a minute, I already do that. That tree that represents the underworld, the middle world, the upper world. I've been drawing that since I was 21. I've been painting it. It just always appears to me." And I just knew that it was some kind of archetypal symbol that I just kept drawing and painting. And then I come to realize that that's the shamanism way, that this is the a philosophy of perspective in the way you enter into unconscious realms. And I was like, what? And so I've had to learn what it is to be a shaman, not knowing that I already was one already, because I was born with and then the other thing that I learned that really saved me was that, I didn't realize that attention deficit disorder, and again, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not giving any medical advice here. I know I'm smart enough to know to give you this disclaimer that when I was too sensitive and too emotional, I even got close to committing suicide, and I had divine intervention. An angel saved me, spoke to me, and talked me out of it. So I realized that I wanted to medicate myself because I just thought I knew I wasn't normal, and it scared me. It scared me because I'm also a medium. I also can hear entities, all sorts of entities, but I didn't realize that I was listening to entities, including dark entities that were telling me some really dark stuff. That's what scared me when I would be alone and depressed, and it would take me to this abyss. Anyway, so I remember getting medicated, and at first I was so happy because I was on Prozac and Dexedrine for my ADD and depression. And I finally felt a sense of calm that I've never had before. And I thought, oh my God, I'm finally okay. I'm finally normal and I feel okay. But I lost all my creativity. I lost my creativity. I lost my desire to fight for justice, to fight injustice, to speak up. I lost my desire to challenge injustice. And I also lost my ability to have orgasms. And I was like, wow, this is what it means to be normal. I'm not sure I like this. I really miss myself. I miss this incredibly creative human being. I'm incredibly creative. Like anybody who watches me write, watches me create, watches me do anything, they're like, my brain is so fast. I have ideas like so much. Like I have an incredible. I have a Ferrari in my car, in my brain. It's so fast, and I miss that. I missed, and it was weird because I went, well, then who am I? Am I the person with a mental disorder who's incredibly creative, and orgasmic and celebratory and but also sad, or am I the person who was meant to be normal and just have a normal life and not be so depressed or challenged or have so much drama? It was really hard. Um, but so doing spiritual work has allowed me to see, because I had to get off the medication because I ran out of insurance. Long story short. But I remember thinking, now I know that what a psychiatrist might call ADD is actually a person who has the brain of a shaman. And that's what shamans say. Shamans would tell you that the most, like people with mental disorders tend to be the most psychic because they're actually in tune with other realms. they're actually in tune with other dimensions, and therefore they can hear. They have all the five clairs, all these senses, but
Mm-hmm.
they think they're crazy because not everybody has them, because not everyone is supposed to have them. The shaman of the village is supposed to have them. And so sometimes they appear as though they're crazy. But if they can heal themselves, then they become the healers, because now they can teach others. If they can cure themselves, then they can teach others. And so in a way, when I went on this path to live with my attention deficit disorder, and to live with myself, and to accept myself, and to find a spiritual way without medication, I was able to do it. I was able to, I mean, of course, I trained in so many different healing modalities,
Mm-hmm.
many to name. And as a result of that, I found a way that now that sense of calm that I had when I was on Prozac, I have it now. The sense of calm, this joy, but I still have my creativity, my orgasms. I still have my desire to challenge injustice. That's still there. But
Mm-hmm.
now I have that sense of calm. So I found a path to the light, to a higher frequency, and it was through spiritual work. And it was a result of also training in shamanism and training in a lot of different modalities, including Reiki, energy medicine, so many that, and also working with angels,
Mm-hmm.
and working with the matrix and the codes and all sorts of things. That now I can tell people that for me, having ADD means that I have the brain of a shaman, because I'm able to tune into a lot of dimensions at the same time. I'm able to be a hummingbird that can be in the lower realms, the middle realm, and the higher realm at the same time instantly. Because, usually in shamanism, people go into trance, they hit a drum, and they go to the underworld to go find missing soul pieces, or to go meet with the jaguars, or the totem animals, or go on a spiritual journey, or to go to the middle earth, middle world, to find their ancestors, to speak to ancestors, or
Mm-hmm.
to speak to our loved ones, right, who haven't crossed fully, who are here helping us out. And then also sometimes I can go to the Christ consciousness, to the highest levels of consciousness. And a person with ADD, depending what kind of ADD they have, because there's several different types,
Oh yeah.
you could be at all the different dimensions at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes overwhelming because it's too much information coming in, and so a person looks like they're they're too scattered, and sometimes it is scattering. You do get scattered when you're not grounded. So now through a lot of the shamanistic work, I'm able to be grounded, but I'm able to tap into a lot of different dimensions, receive a lot of information, and know how to filter it and quickly get answers. And I thank my ADD brain for that, that it's very fast and fluid. Um, Whereas before I used to think I was broken. And as a result of spiritual work and understanding my spiritual path, I now feel like, oh no, I'm not broken. I'm the healer. You know, I'm
Mm-hmm.
the wounded healer archetype. But so yeah, no, I feel really happy. This is the happiest I've ever felt, and I really am happy to report that I'm still here, and
Mm-hmm.
now I can help other people. So when people have questions, people are scared, people are suicidal,
Mm-hmm.
I know what they're feeling. I know where they're at, and how to pull them out of these lower frequencies, or I know what's on them.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's on them, what's going on. I can tune into them. And I also have a lot of divine assistance, because the greatest thing to know when you're on a spiritual path is that you cannot do it alone. This idea that you're alone and you have to do it yourself is an ego. Uh, it's an ego trip, and it's also like a patriarchal thing. And spiritual work is about always knowing that you are not alone, and that you have to ask for help, because nothing can be accomplished on your own,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to always ask for help. And all the divine workers and all your divine team is always happy to help you, but they have to be given permission to help you. And then the other thing is that um, we are here to experience joy. I thought, being an artist, that I was here to suffer, that I was here to experience pain and suffering. And now that I've done spiritual work and my frequency is higher, I realized that no, we're not here to suffer. We're here to get out of that mentality that
Mm-hmm.
we are alone and that nobody loves us and nobody cares. We are here to understand that we are joy because we are the love of the creator, and we can tap into that instantly. Um, and anyway, there's just so many lessons I learned, but that's the most important one, is that you always have to remain
Mm-hmm.
humble enough to know, but you have to always ask for help. And in
Mm-hmm.
asking for help, you are always powerful, because you can count on everyone who is like, I can count on angels, I can count on all these divine beings to assist, because they are so happy to assist.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be humble enough to know that we are brave enough to be human beings in the third dimension, which is very painful, because we're caught up in this delusion that we are separate from God, that we are separate from others. And that's the thing about ADD, is that you realize quickly that you're not separate from others, because if I can feel your pain and I can feel your joy and I can see a lot of things that are happening to you, then how am I separate from you if I can have access to all this?
Mm-hmm.
And we're the same consciousness. And now I get it. Now I get it, that no matter what religion, no matter what you call something, the light is the light and oneness is oneness. And
Mm-hmm.
you can describe it in so many languages, in so many ways, and you can just whatever word you give it, it's still light, it's still love, it's still oneness. And that's ultimately what we're all trying to get to. And sometimes it takes a couple lifetimes, and other times it takes a lot of lifetimes. It just depends how humble you can be and how willing you are to surrender.
Mm-hmm. The other question that I had is, and you speaking a lot about, we don't work alone, right? In the spiritual practices, we really do work in a team. I like to call it a village of people, or just a village, should I say, not a village, that's not a word, a village of consciousness. Um, I guess for me, and the question I want to ask you is, intuition and discernment go hand in hand. And I know that you have mentioned about working with energy. Especially people don't like to talk about demons. They get very nervous or afraid, and they're like, I'm out the door. We're not talking about that. Um, how has working on your intuition and your discernment helped you in those situations, especially when you were going through a very difficult time in your life and you had voices telling you to do very harmful things to yourself? Um, how has that essentially developed over time? And to knowing that, okay, these voices I'm hearing, they're not okay, but they can't, essentially cause me to harm myself or want to harm myself, and how did that just, I guess, intuition or discernment build?
So the first things I learned was that, when someone or something was happening and my belly button started, like, there was a sensation in my belly button, like it pulsated,
Hmm.
I would say, oh my God, what's that? It doesn't feel good.
Hmm.
That's always a warning signal, right? Anything that doesn't feel good, like goosebumps, like would say, oh my God, that guy's creepy. Chances are they've got stuff on them, like a sex demon or sexual shame energy,
Hmm.
and you can feel it. So your body's always reacting to the way other people feel. And maybe because I'm 6 times more sensitive than the average person, I immediately feel like this discomfort in my body, or a creepiness, or I feel like a snake crawling on me. And I know that whomever I'm touching, whoever's next to me, and there's snakes crawling on me, that sensation.
Hmm.
So I started trusting that early on, because I realized that it was trying to save my life. And there were instances where it did save my life.
Hmm.
And so I knew, as a woman, all women have this stronger intuition because our life is always in danger. And so that's how come women are, I mean, everyone has intuition, but women have to have it stronger in order to survive.
Hmm.
So for me, I started to realize, oh, wait, this is consistent. This creepy feeling is consistent when there's someone who's not to be trusted sexually or in any way, but sexually usually is you know. And and so then I go, oh, wait a minute. Or sometimes if I didn't listen to it, I would know that, oh wow, I had this feeling. I was even told, something kept telling me and I didn't do it. And then enough times happened where I lost things, where I
Mhm.
said, oh wow, I lost things and I didn't listen to my issue, and there's a price, very expensive price. So then
Mhm.
I started paying attention. So I tried to override my logical mind because my logical mind is always telling me it can't happen. So one of the things I learned in training and remote viewing is that the first 3 seconds, the answer you get is always right. After 3 seconds, your logical mind steps in, and after 3 seconds, your logic and the truth get collapsed, and it becomes imagination. And that's how the mind works. That's how it works, right? The other
Mhm.
thing that I did that helps my discernment is that I gave permission to my spirit guides. My spirit guides are the people that I gave permission to guide me in this lifetime, to hold my blueprint. My blueprint is my life story, what I'm attempting to do here in this lifetime in the third dimension. And these two guides are people I trust. So then they would guide me, and I gave them permission to speak loudly to me, really
Mhm.
loud, so that I can't mistake them for my own voice. They kind of speak in my voice, but if they speak loud enough, sometimes I hear their accent because they could have different accents, depending what lifetimes we had together. Anyway, that's another story. But so one of the things I learned that helps me with my discernment is that anytime I hear anything that's negative, that is terrible, that does not uplift, that compares me to some, okay, if I hear a voice and it's constantly comparing people and judging people, I know that's my ego. But if
Mhm.
it's a voice that's constantly saying, oh, run that kid over, or like, mean things that are cruel and awful,
Mhm.
or I'm angry, especially if you're angry and you hear a voice say, oh, cut that or throw that away or do something, and it's not for the highest good, it's to fulfill this anger, it's usually a dark entity. If it's something telling you to, commit suicide or kill someone or get revenge, that's a dark entity. I mean, a big one.
Mhm.
Okay? Or burn the building down. Anything that wants you to create chaos and disorder and really just, those are dark entities. Anything that tries to get you to understand and have compassion for another human being, that's probably your spirit guide, an angel. Anything that tries to help you for your highest good and the highest good of others is usually a divine being or a being that's already in the light. So that's the easiest way to know. If you hear a voice and it's telling you to love yourself, to accept yourself, it's probably your higher self or your higher self or your spirit guides, right?
Right.
They're on your team. But if anything tries to get you to create chaos, disaster, destruction, anything like, then it's dark. It's as simple as that, right? And then the other thing, anything that tries to expand your fear and tell you, oh, this is going to happen, and oh, and it goes into a loop of fear, that could be a program, or even a dark entity, or it could be a voice or some kind of device that's been placed on you from the darker realms to get you to become obsessed. And I know how that feels because I when I was younger and I was dating someone who had a lot of drama and we had so much chaos together, I'd often hear all kinds of things. He was paranoid. He was bipolar, and I could tell that he heard voices that constantly kept telling him that I was cheating on him, which was not true. But he was convinced that he made it up in his head to the point where whatever I said, he was convinced I had cheated on him. And I knew that he would hear voices, and I could even see like the kinds of entities that were whispering that,
Mhm.
which at that time I didn't think I just thought I was making it up. And now that I have discernment, I go, oh my God, I saw the things that were talking to him. And I
Mhm.
just thought it was my imagination. I was like, no, I could see where it was coming from. I could see the darkness. Anyway, so yeah. So, and then the other thing I've asked is, I tell my spirit team, look, I am just a human being. I cannot do this without you. And I humble myself and say, look, you got to help me in every way you can. I you got to because I'm a logical person, because I've been programmed in a school. I mean, we've had to go to school for so many years. You've got to tell it to me at least 3 times. If you tell me something at least 3 times, and then I'll believe it, right? Because if you tell me once and then I don't hear it again. Then I go, okay, my imagination, whatever, I made it up. If you tell me at least 3 times, I'll know it's for real.
Mhm.
And so sometimes they tell me 10, 20, 100 times. And then I go, oh, well, I can trust it because I ask the question, the answer doesn't, it's like, when I say, can I trust this person? Is this person worthy? And if
Mhm.
I hear no 100 times, well, then I better listen.
Oh.
you know, and I've had that. I go, look, I'm a dummy. Just tell it to me, like over and over, like, and I've been pretty much right. Like I remember one time in one of our businesses, we had to hire somebody, and I just knew that person was the wrong person. And the other people were more logical, so they wouldn't listen to me. They just said, no, 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 this person's the, and I said, no, they are not the right person. You're going to find out. This person has contempt for artists. This person doesn't like being an artist. Oh, I mean, I just could tell. And I said, this
Mhm.
person rolls their eyes. This person, and they're like, we couldn't see that. I don't know. And then like a month later, no, like 2 weeks later, they were like, oh my God, this woman keeps rolling her eyes. She has such contempt for it. Nobody likes her. And I go, dude, like I told you that this is what I saw. But I guess maybe because my mind is so fast, it picked up all these things around her eyes. It picked up all this disgust, all this. I just knew that she was inauthentic and was just giving us all the right answers.
Mhm.
And I said to them, look, the only way I'm going to sign off on this woman is, and they said, is if like she's on probation. Or they said, yeah, we'll put her on probation. We'll give her 2 months. And after 2 months, if she's the right person, then we keep her. If not, then. And within 2 weeks, they knew that they had made a mistake because everything that I told them, they said, oh my God, we're so sorry. We didn't. I said, I know. It's because you can't see what I see. You can't feel what I feel. And also I have divine assistance, telling me this person's the wrong person. Anyway, so that's how I know my discernment. But your body, if
Mhm.
anytime somebody is not for your highest good or not telling you the truth, your body instantly, slowly repels from them.
Mhm.
Anything that's not the light, your body repels from it, right? Anything that is the light, you repel, you move towards it. So I know when I speak to people and I'm telling them the truth, everybody starts moving towards me, and then they start nodding at the same time, and there's some kind of a wave. And I can see this wave coming over everybody because it's the truth. And they're agreeing and they get it, and they were raising the frequency as I'm speaking truth to them.
Mhm.
And so then they're going like, oh, and then if someone's lying to me, I there's no light coming towards me. I can tell that there's no light, or they've cut off the light and they're just trying to tell me something, and I know they're lying.
Mhm.
And occasionally I've been wrong because maybe someone's really cute, really handsome, or they buttered my ego. So I try to be humble so that I don't let my ego like take the best of me.
Mhm.
But usually I'm right. Usually I can tell because I can feel their energy, right? If they have an agenda, I feel their agenda. If they're lying to me, or if a guy's trying to butter me up, I go, oh, like you're not gonna impress me because with telling me I'm beautiful, I know I'm beautiful. I have really good self-esteem, When you have
Mhm.
really good self-esteem, it's hard for people to fool you, you
Mhm.
know? Anyway, oh yeah, I think I answered your question a little bit.
No, thank you. That was great. And I just love the different examples that you gave because I think oftentimes I've had people ask me, well, what's discernment and what's intuition, and how do you know how to develop either or? And I'm like, well, in my opinion, I would say that as your intuition develops, so does your discernment. You start to just know when something isn't feeling right. So I think it was just really great way that you went about explaining
Thank
it.
you. The other thing is that, spirit and the divine always wants us to be of service. So
Mhm.
if we want to be of service, we can always say, hey, can you help increase my intuition? Can you help increase my discernment? Please give me discernment, God, because it is a gift. It is something that people are born with. It is something that people can develop. A
Mhm.
lot of priests, a lot of people that do very difficult work, a lot of them are born with discernment because it's like when you incarnate, you bring a little bag of tricks. And discernment is one of those. If you're going to do work that requires you knowing in a split second what's the truth, what's the light. um but the other thing too is that if you go by feeling, to me, Anytime something feels brighter and lighter, I know it's the truth. Anytime that something feels yucky, dark, it's as simple as that. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if your logical mind goes, well, I don't understand, I don't get it, blah, 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 you just go, well, what feels light and bright? What gives you joy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then and it's always love versus fear. Like sometimes people complicate spirituality, and I go, no, no, no. It's as simple as everything is love and fear. Which one is love and fear? So, oh, I'm coming from fear. I'm afraid. That's not your higher self. That's not your true self.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you're choosing love and joy, that's your truth self, right? Everything else is love and joy is a choice. Fear is a reaction, and reaction is has nothing. There's no power in there. So that's it to me. That like every time people like they say, "Oh, I'm really confused about life. I'm really confused." Okay, tell me what the choices are, and I'll tell you that it's always between the heart and the mind.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the heart always is always right because the heart is connected to your blueprint, to your higher self. Your heart is, I tell people like the decision is never difficult
Mm-hmm.
because your brain is only there to help you survive. Your heart is there to help you thrive and to accomplish what your soul wants to accomplish here. And I
Mm-hmm.
always tell people, look, if you don't know how to choose, think of this. The minute a sperm and the egg hit, instantly there's like an explosion of light and a heartbeat starts. That heartbeat is what has the intelligence. It's receiving the intelligence that then creates all the cells and creates you. 5 months later, your brain is developed. So if your brain doesn't come in until 5 months later, who's in charge? Your heart. Why? Because your heart is connected to the divine. Your heart is the portal where to your true connection to the source, to light. So if you say, oh, I don't know if to trust my heart, and of course, there's people say, oh, follow your heart. I go, it's true, follow your heart, but know the difference between love and lust. Okay. Because people go, oh, we're so in love, and I go, well, like are you in love or are you in lust? Because there's a difference, right? If you love this person truly, right? Let's say they got in a car accident, they got disfigured, right? Their
Mm-hmm.
face got all fucked up, I mean, smashed up, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, could you still love them? And if
Mm-hmm.
the answer is yes, of course, then oh my God, it's true love. But if you're like, I don't know if I would take care, I don't know if I would like, I'd be like, well, then you know what? It's lust, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. But then don't fool yourself. Okay, you don't need discernment for that. You just okay. Anyway.
Which is so true because I've had many women when I've done readings, they'll always ask me, "Oh, is it gonna work out with this person, or is this a person I'm meant to marry?" And oftentimes, instantly, the second they like walk up, I always get no or I get yes. And even as they're asking me the question, I'm listening, but I'm like, chances are though, right, is that if they're asking me the question in the first place, like 95% of the time, I'm like, that's probably not the person for you then if you're questioning it.
Yeah.
5%, I'm like, okay, maybe like y'all have issues. It could be karmic while you're together. You have to maybe learn something from each other, but there's still
Mhm.
love there. But a good chunk of the time, I'm just kind of like, let me be patient. Let me not be rude. Let me like relax my facial emotions and listen to them, right? Um,
Mhm.
and yeah, and oftentimes that's what I like think. I'm like, no, I think you're like physically into the person, and that's pretty much it. It's very surface. It's not more than that. And so there have been certain times where like, having to explain that to people is very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know how to really answer completely is what is something that people can do daily that's pretty simple for them, to connect either with their guides, their higher selves, or just even just to let them know that, like, let's say if they are given a sign by spirit or something, right? Let's say it's like a song on the radio, angel numbers, right? In the form of like a receipt or something, right? That they get. What is one way that they can essentially, again, know that like the information, the signs that they're being given, like it's not them basically kind of like coming up with it in their mind, like they're not fooling themselves, like it really is a sign from spirit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you a big answer.
Okay.
Okay. Because I can give you the simple one, which is, oh, trust it, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to take a big one. Okay. Because I think your audience can handle it, right? Because if they're
Yeah.
a spiritual child, they're going to be able to handle this.
Yeah.
So we wrote the story that we are living.
Mm-hmm.
Before we reincarnate, we have to write a screenplay, which is called a blueprint, a spiritual blueprint. And then we have to present it to all these masters. And then they approve the screenplay. So you wrote the messages to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is what's profound to me, because every time I look at and some people may say, oh my God, that's a little too a beautiful mind for me,
Beautiful
right?
mind.
But I'm going to tell you, um, I know I wrote the story because, I get premonitions all the time. So I can see my story way ahead of most people. And I write characters and then they show up. I
Mm-hmm.
also write screenplays and then the characters show up in real life. So we wrote this story. So oftentimes when I get the confirmation numbers for airplane tickets,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now we're used to that now, right? Every time I get one, I look at the message because all the numbers and everything add up to something. And there's a message in there. I tell you, and I swear to you, like when I went to New York City to go meet with the producers who were interested in Real Women Have Curves, the musical,
Mm-hmm.
the confirmation letters said real women, pretty
Well.
much. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It had like an 8 for the figure 8 of like sacred feminine,
Mm-hmm.
and real, like it almost like spelled out real women. I was like, no freaking way. And then to yes, a couple days ago, I got a confirmation because I was asking like, oh, did I do the right thing or not? And then I got the confirmation from my airplane, and it was so comical because it spelled out a word that at first I was like, what? And then now I get it. But it actually spelled out a word for me, which told me like confirmation that I did the right thing. And
Wow.
I was like, and so we could be surprised and be like, oh my God, what a coincidence. But in fact, it's not,
Mm-hmm.
because we wrote the story. We write all the messages to ourselves. Okay. And here's the other thing that people don't get, that I mean, because when people say, oh, things don't make sense, I know, no, let me explain it to you. I read so many books on this subject. Let me explain it to you. So only 60%, 40%, depending how much energy you want, life force gets incarnated in the third dimension. And then 40% or 60% of us remains in the fifth dimension, which is where we're really from. So we are already at the fifth dimension in what some religions will call heaven or paradise,
Mm-hmm.
looking at our movie of ourselves in the movie theater going, oh my God, Josefina's having a fun time. Oh, let me throw a challenge at her. So it's us throwing a challenge to ourselves going, oh my God. Because I've done this where I kind of like ask God for like advice, and then I get the message and I'm thinking, oh my God, Josefina in the fifth dimension, who is me, is already like watching me in this movie and then throwing out signs or helping me out or throwing challenges to me. And here I am thinking, because when we think we're victims of our story, we forget that we wrote the story.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm a screenwriter, because I'm a playwright, I get that I go, I can change it. And I even know how to change the matrix now, where I can change realities and do certain things where I go, oh, now I'm in a better story. Now I'm in a better, because I rewrote my story. I added some things and now it's even more interesting. And so that's how come whatever message you want, because the thing is, and it also, here's the other thing too, it depends what frequency you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're at a really low frequency, you are too self-consumed and obsessed and feeling bad and sorry for yourself that you don't see the magic that's already around you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see the messages that is you trying to get to you, trying to get you messages, and you're not seeing them. But when you are a higher frequency, when you are at levity, when you are in a higher frequency, you're able to see these messages that have always been there. And that's what I've noticed, that when I was sad and depressed and consumed in my depression and all this and that, and oh, nobody loves me and da da da, I could not see that the divine was always around trying to help me. But I was too caught up in feeling and thinking that
Mm-hmm.
nobody wanted to help me, nobody loved me, that I couldn't take their hand because I was too consumed in me. So the more the lighter you are, the brighter you are, the higher your frequency, the more you're able to, it's almost like your vision expands and you're able to see a lot more. And you're able to also travel lighter and faster because you're absorbing more light and you're at a higher level of consciousness. Whereas when, because when you see people that are very narcissistic, that are very depressed, that are in such a low frequency of shame, they cannot see anything except what's around them, like immediately. It's almost like an iris gets so small that there's so little light. But the more light, the more life, the more love, and the more you expand, and the more you let life and the divine and love in, the more you are able to see everything around you and see all the signs.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other thing you can do is just know that everything conspires to help you, but there's also forces that conspire to destroy you.
Oh yeah, derail you. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. There's all kind. It's a chess game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to decide that you work for the light and that your soul belongs to the light. And if you do that, and you say, "Hey, I need help," and you pray with a sincere heart, and you ask for divine assistance in whatever way you can, the divine is always happy to guide you. It's almost like it's like, what team are you going to belong to?
Mm-hmm.
So, so that's it. And because I mean, this happened to me so many times where I go, God, please send an angel. Please send someone to help me. We're stuck in the snow. Like that's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Please send somebody quick because we can't be stuck here. Oh, I don't know what to do. We're scared, whatever. And then sure enough, somebody shows up with, and somebody shows up like within minutes with salt. And he goes, "Oh my God, I saw you guys. Here I am helping you. Here's some salt. Let me help you out."
Mm-hmm.
A really sweet man with blue eyes. And I'm thinking, I wonder if his name is Michael, like Archangel Michael. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even ask because I go, no, no, no. It's probably like, if it's, yeah, yeah. So then and that's happened to me so many times where I ask for divine assistance I ask for it all the time. I mean, obviously when I'm in desperate need, but you can ask anytime. If you wake up in the morning, you say, "Today I ask for divine assistance. I want to be given messages that lift me up, messages that guide me towards my true path." Whatever you want to say, because every time you're having a conversation, I talk to myself all the time in
Mm-hmm.
my room, lo que sea, because you're always surrounded by everything.
Right.
Okay, everything. And so I always just speak and I ask God, God, please send someone to help me with this because I'm here to make a difference in the world. I'm here to uplift women. I'm here to help my community. So if you want me to do this, God, you send me somebody who can do this, who can help me. You send me someone who has money who can uplift me in this way. You send me someone who has this knowledge. And
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many people that just show up exactly the person that I needed, and they were guided to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's happened to me so many times that I don't doubt this anymore at all. I say, God, this is what I need, please, because God, and here's the thing, the divine loves to help you, especially if you're going to be of service. The reason I've gotten so far in life is because everything I do is in service of others. How can I be of service to others? And in doing that, then the divine loves to help you. And then what happens is when you give too much, when you help too many people, when you're giving, giving, giving,
Mm-hmm.
and again, you give because you come from a pure place of love and joy, and you receive joy in giving, right? Which I do. Then the universe has to say, Josefina, you are out of balance again. We have to reward you now. We have to help you. We have to make one of your dreams come true. And then I go, well, thank you. I was not expecting it, but thank you, divine. Thank you, God. Thank you, creator. Because when you're out of balance, giving way too much, the universe has to balance you back and give something to you. And it's a very selfless way of doing things that works for me. And again, I don't do it with any kind of agenda or intention. It just works out that way.
Which, as you were talking about, asking that, all the beauty in the world, right? Or certain signs basically be given to you in your reality. I was watching, I don't know, something online, and I mean, it's going to be a little bit morbid, but I think the crime scene photos that they took of Michael Jackson's home from when he had passed, To this day, there are, I guess, post-it notes or something that he had written, and they were like, I am affirmations. And some people have said that they like, they wrote them down, that they felt inspired to like obviously the origin and the nature of the photos were not
Mm-hmm.
positive because they were his crime scene photos, but they were saying that they felt different in just being aware that they were writing I am and then whatever the rest of the affirmation, is. And something else that I've been seeing a lot in like spiritual communities on social media and stuff like that is them writing an affirmation, but they're changing it from I am to something more in the affirmative. And I know that's something that you have also talked about creating your reality and using, I guess, words too to create your reality and essentially manifesting or aligning with what it is that you really want to
Mm-hmm.
experience and ultimately help others out in the world. And the other thing that I was going to ask you is, how do you say in the affirmative, taking it a step further, and not just saying like, I am grateful for all that I have, And let's say that you do want maybe to accomplish something, whether it's a project, maybe passing an exam, a driving test, I don't know, or even finding a solution with something that maybe somebody is experiencing that's a little bit difficult. How would you, yeah,
So the
well,
way I do it is I do it as though it has already happened and it's the greatest expression of joy. So it's not even like you're stating it because you want it, because anytime you want something, you can't have it
Mhm,
because you repel it. But when you declare it as though it has already happened and you're filled with joy because of it, it is so powerful because you're affirming that this is already happening. And not only is it happening, but it you're filled with joy and you give joy to others as a result of it. So
mhm,
that's the highest expression of it. So what I say is, instead of saying I am grateful, I say, the creator expresses gratitude through me and am filled with joy and I give to others so lovingly and willingly.
mhm.
¿Entiendes? So
Yeah.
I create sentences where I am the expression of that which has already happened.
Mhm,
So one of the things I say is, you know, um, everywhere I go, children smile and laugh because I am laughter and joy, and I am the greatest flower that has ever bloomed. Let's say. I just made that up right now,
yeah,
right?
that's really pretty though.
Yeah,
Really
right?
pretty.
And so what I also do, because it helps I've studied so many things, but one of the things is hypnotherapy. And one of the things they tell you is in order to manifest something faster, you have to experience it with the five senses, but you can also visualize it because the more you can visualize it, like this flower, right? Like you saw the flower. So I see myself as this flower, an expression of joy.
Mhm,
And then children smile, and so I declare something as though it's a sentence, as though it is a manifestation of something so amazing that it makes me happy to say it. And I visualize it as I say it. And when I say it, it makes me happy,
mhm,
right? So I'm putting a lot of different senses into it, right? Because when we say, I am this, you're saying it as though you want to believe it, right?
mhm,
And so it comes from a place of doubting yourself, and that's why you have to affirm it. Whereas I'm coming from celebration. And that is one of the secrets of manifesting things is that everything you want, if you come from the point of view of celebration, you instantly take it to a really high frequency, because most of our pain comes from shame, and
mhm,
shame is a really low frequency. And so if you come from wanting something out of shame, you're not going to get it because you are reinforcing the shame by getting that thing. And spirit would not want to give you something that it comes from shame. For instance, let's say you have a big nose and you aspire to have a tiny nose because you want to be normal or perfect, right? You
mhm,
want something, but it's coming from a place of shame, right? And so spirit might be conflicted because they're like, well, we want to help you, but we don't want to reinforce your shame, right? Whereas if you say, oh my God, my nose is such a beautiful expression of my Italian heritage. And every time I see my nose, it's so wonderful and beautiful. And God, I love, and then you said, and in declaring that it is perfect, and it is so, entiendes? When you are okay with something and you're celebrating something, someone could say, "Oh my God, my husband's a no surgeon, and he needs somebody, a patient who, for photos or whatever for his new client, whatever." And all of a sudden, you can get free nose surgery, right? Like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it came from a place of you like accepting yourself.
Right.
Then you can have it because you no longer need it, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's a bonus, right? ¿Me
Mm-hmm.
entiendes? But if it comes from a place of shame, it's harder to get it. So if you look at everything that you want and you say, how could I have it? Or how could I accept what I have as a celebration, gratitude, but knowing that if I were to get this, I'd be okay with it. But if I don't, I'd be okay with it too. Then
Mm-hmm.
you can have it because it's not stuck in a lower frequency. And it's funny because as I'm telling you this, I just learned this myself. I didn't know this.
The other thing that it also leads me to ask a question about is how do you deal with rejection and what are ways that you uplift yourself? Because of course, it'll sting. Um, and I guess in some ways it does lower your frequency, but then how do you bring your frequency back up? Because I know that there's a point that maybe many people experience of like, I've been rejected, maybe my project didn't get into this particular submission or yeah, that I was hoping to get. So
Mhm.
then, you move into a space of like, well, I've been rejected, it stings. But then there's the like acceptance aspect that I guess a lot of people tend to hopefully get to. And yeah, just how do you deal with rejection and how do you like lift up your vibration from that?
So first of all, I reframe it because I don't ever say I'm being rejected, right?
Hmm.
Because no one can ever reject you when you have accepted yourself,
Hmm.
right? No one is rejecting you. They're not open to your ideas.
Hmm.
They don't understand your ideas. They don't get your ideas, or they don't see the possibility that you could have that position, whatever it could be, right? Okay?
Yeah.
So it first things first is to say, wow, it only stings because I've gotten no's like at least 1,000 times, right?
Hmm.
And it doesn't hurt because one, I know that they're saying no, not right now.
Hmm.
Okay, it's not permanent. Secondly, I know that their no doesn't mean it's not a good project, it's not a good idea, I'm not a good person, whatever. It doesn't mean that. It means they don't understand it, they don't get it. Or sometimes people, sometimes like I have no doubt that I'm a genius because I get all these amazing ideas like constantly to the point where I go, I'm exhausted. I have so many freaking ideas, like, and they're great, amazing. Even I'm like, damn, who came up with these ideas? Because I don't think I did, but maybe they're given to me. I don't know.
Hmm.
So sometimes you may have an idea that's genius, but someone who's not a genius is not going to get it. So sometimes you have to believe in yourself and say, hey, maybe I'm a genius and that person isn't, and their mind is this small, and how can they possibly comprehend a huge ass? And that's usually the case for me, right? For a lot of my ideas. And I may have to wait 10, 15, 20 years before finally society is ready for this idea. So,
Hmm.
but the other thing is that you really have to work on accepting yourself because when something stings, they're not rejecting you. It's because it reminds you that you have not accepted yourself. So that's what you have to look at. So once you own that and you say, oh, because if I believe in myself 1,000% now. I
Hmm.
know that everything you write needs a rewrite. So I know that too. I'm a professional writer. I know nobody gets it right in the first try
Hmm.
unless they're channeling God. Okay. And occasionally I channel God, but not all the time. So, uh, right.
Yeah.
Occasionally, some genius divine being gives me information that's incredible, right? But not all the time. Anyway, so I know that everything requires rewriting. So I believe in myself 1,000% because I know that I can rewrite many times and it'll be great. Anyway, so yeah, so work on your self-esteem,
Hmm.
work on your ideas, and remember that, you know, um, some ideas require the consciousness of society to be ready. And
Hmm.
sometimes, like I've said some things that people they're not going to get for another 10, 20 years.
Hmm.
Like there are so many incredible stories that I want to tell that nobody's ready for them. Nobody's ready for them. I mean, no, they're not good. Even if it's a great story, society is not ready to handle that truth yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean it's a bad idea. It just means wait, work on the other ones that are ready. Work on the other novels. Work on the other stuff. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I have all kinds of ideas about aliens, and I mean all kinds of stuff. It's sci-fi, and I'm going. I don't think people are ready for that yet. No, I deal a lot with sexuality. I'm
Mm-hmm.
very, um, I deal a lot with that. And I swear to you, I share them with ideas, with people, and people think that they're pornographic, and I'm well, they're not pornographic. One day when society's ready, you're going to see this is not a porno. This is genius, you know. But again, people can't handle sexuality. There's still a lot of shame around it. So I'm smart enough to know that, okay, that idea can wait 10, 20 years, however long, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's how I don't. And then the other thing is that if you believe in your idea enough and you really love your idea, just know that the person who's saying no to you, you go, oh, how do I get their job?
Mm-hmm.
How do I learn to be a producer so that I can be the person saying yes to me? And then, because I had to do that. I had to become a writer. Then I was an actor who became a writer, who then became a producer. And, I now produce theater because
Mm-hmm.
now nobody is saying no to my ideas because I go, no, no, no. If you say no, if other theaters get no to my and say no to my ideas, I can produce my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And now I produce films too. So now if someone says no to my film, I go, okay, I understand why, because it's risky and nobody wants to invest that much money. I get it. But now I'm in a position where I go, no, I'm not going to make that idea happen because I believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's it. And then if you think you can't, then then a no means yes. Meaning that the, if you're limited, if you see yourself as very small, and when someone says no,
Mm-hmm.
by that you're that small, then you can't expand yourself to say, well, then let me learn how to do all this other stuff, because I remember like somebody didn't accept my essay because it was too controversial.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because instead of me going, oh, I'm sad, I just go, you know what? I'm just gonna start my own magazine. Right? Or if someone says no to my book, I go, you know what, Charlie, I'm gonna start my own publishing company. And it's so great because now we're in a position where we say, now I'm gonna start my own movie distribution company. Now
Mm-hmm.
we can do it all. So anytime someone says no to you, it means that you have the choice between saying, um, I can wait for this project. I can rewrite it. I can wait on this project, or I can go get that job and go do it myself, or get enough people to believe in my idea that I just go show the people that said no to me how it's done, and then you do it, and that's what I've done.
And the other thing that I was thinking too, right? Because that's another question that comes up a lot in tarot readings, like, is this project going to get made? Am I going to get this job? And oftentimes, if I do tell people like I'm getting no, they're dealing with those conflicting feelings of, oh, I really wanted it. And I always tell people, I'm like, but think of it in this way too. If you were to get the yes that you're wanting, could you really honor that? Like, are you ready for all that it comes with? And that's the other thing that I think a lot of people, when I've asked them that question, they kind of really, some are taken aback because some are like, yeah, I'm ready, I can do it. And some people are like, I probably wouldn't be able to. And I've had some emails or some conversations like after the fact where they share with me like, yeah, I didn't get the job offer, or they told me no, but I know that I was ready. And I'm like, maybe it also just isn't the right space and place for you where you're going to be able to grow. And just you kind of it being a reassuring thing, like, yes, you can do it. It just might mean it has to be somewhere else and not there. And so that's something else that I think has been interesting to kind of witness with people. And do you kind of believe that too, that I guess if, people maybe don't get that exact thing that they're wanting, that it can also be that it's just not the right timing. Like maybe there's certain things that they have to experience and like, I guess, go through in order to potentially have that happen later down the line.
Yeah, I wanted to be a TV writer for many, many years, and I had so many opportunities, and nothing happened. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like I tried so many different, and then now that I'm a wise woman, I go, maybe the reason it didn't happen, it was to protect you from having to be in that toxic environment,
Mm-hmm.
because Hollywood is a toxic environment, especially like now it's gotten a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, men would say the sexist things. You couldn't complain. You'd be the only woman in the room. They just think you didn't have a sense of humor, like all kinds of this is before Me Too, right?
Right.
So I think that a lot of what you want sometimes is not necessarily what's the best for you. It may be best. It's maybe, and so you have to know the difference between your ego and your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
Your ego always wants what looks good, what's going to make people see you in a good light. Whereas
Right.
your higher self wants you to be in a good light, meaning in a good environment that helps you grow and expand. And so sometimes when your ego wants you to be famous and rich and this and that, your higher self doesn't necessarily want that, because your higher self says, no, what you really need is community.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, because it was, I tell people I had 3 TV pilots at 3 different networks in 3 different genres, which was, now I see how impossible that was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing it with my writing partner, and none of the shows got made. It was devastating. And I just couldn't understand why. And we, and I was only 25. And I think had one of those shows gotten made, or had all 3 shows gotten made, I probably would have ended up a drug addict trying to like do all that work and trying to work. It probably was not the best thing for me. And also society was not ready for Latino shows.
Mm-hmm.
US, they were not. And so then so I would have had to deal with a lot of horrible things, probably. A lot of sexism and racism, and maybe Spirit didn't want that. Maybe Spirit said, go start a community theater in your barrio. Go to your community, bring healing to your community, do this. And so in doing that, I got nurtured. I nurtured a lot of people, mentored a lot of people. I did all these amazing, extraordinary things that taught me a lot of valuable things about writing and storytelling. And so I feel like Spirit took me on a different path.
Mm-hmm.
And then and it's so funny because, even though I'm not as active as a TV writer, because of the work that I've done and everything that I've done, I still have all these amazing credits. And I go, wow, I still got here. I still got here very fast, even
Mm-hmm.
though I thought I took the long road. So sometimes Spirit, here's the thing too, is that you may have a desire and your conscious mind thinks it has to be a certain way. It thinks only linearly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your spirit understands how it's going to get there, but it knows it's not going to get there the way you think it's going to happen. And so sometimes that's where you have to trust and go, wow. So your unconscious mind already knows how it's going to happen, but it won't give the message to your conscious mind, because your conscious mind will sabotage it. So it only gives you little parts of it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes when you don't get a job, it's because you're not meant to be there, or you're being protected, or you're not ready because you have these lessons that you have to learn. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, I'll give you a very good example. I knew after my second divorce that I did not want to get married again or have children, and that I just wanted to do God's work. I was only 31 years old. I was about to be 31. And I told God, I'm not getting married. I don't want to have children.
Mm-hmm.
I, I'm just going to do God's work, and that's it. Because I'm a woman with attention deficit disorder who aspires to like be an exorcist, or, you know, who has these spirit, these desires, right? That are they're not normal, right? Um, no one's going to want. And I was like, I was done, right? But a few months later, I'm told by my 2 spirit guides that I have to go to a dinner party to meet a man. And I'm told that I'm going to be romantically involved with that man. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to go meet this man. I'm not going to get married again. I don't care. I don't care. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm told, no, you have to do this. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I heard a voice, a male voice, tell me, no, you have to go meet this man because he's going to help you with your theater. He basically, I have to go meet this man because my divine work requires that I go meet this man. And only because I heard that, I said, okay, I'm going to go. And sure enough, this man was a man who was going to become my future husband and the future executive director of this theater that I wanted to start for my community. And and I knew that I wanted to jump ahead to my spiritual work and go be a shaman or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
And spirit knew that I was jumping the timeline. Now, as a 55-year-old wise woman, I can tell you that there's no way they were going to let me do what I wanted to do at 31 because they knew that I couldn't do that until I had this theater, until I got married, until I had children, until I was emotionally, spiritually, and mentally ready to now do the spiritual work. So you're not allowed to jump ahead either, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're not, because there's certain things you have to know. And I wrote the story, so I can't jump ahead, even though I'm cheating by jumping ahead and saying, what, let's just skip the husbands, I'm done with men. And they're like, nope. And then, after when I turned 50, I realized, oh, I get it now. My contract starts at 50, not at 31. My spiritual contract to do this work starts at 50. And I was divinely told, get ready at 48, get ready at 50, your contract starts. And I'm like, what contract? Oh my God, I have a contract, shoot. And then I went, oh, I get it now. I had to get married, have children. I had to do all this in order to be spiritually and emotionally ready to
Mm-hmm.
do work that now I aspire to do. And also in shamanism, I remember someone explained it that women become shamans in the winter of their life, which is such a beautiful way of saying that women have four seasons, just like nature, right? The
Mm-hmm.
spring, summer, fall, and winter. And that you're not allowed to be a shaman or a wise woman until you enter the winter of your life after menopause, because that's when a lot of your wisdom comes in. And that's when, and I'm like, oh my God, you're right. I was trying to do this, and I would have broken if I didn't have the strength of a mother. If I hadn't gone through all these experiences with my children and husband and fighting for myself, and then I wouldn't have these abilities that I would need in order to be a shaman now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's amazing, is that you go, oh, I get it now. So yeah, you may want a job, but you're not allowed to have that job until you have met all the qualifications. And they're not necessarily like academic,
Mm-hmm.
or job. It could be spiritual, emotional, even physical ones,
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know. So you have to trust that, okay, no me toca, it's not my turn, and it's okay. There are
Mm-hmm.
different seasons of life. And I'm so glad that because now that my children are grown up, now that, having a husband is not a priority, I'm not distracted by that. you know, I'm not distracted by sex. I'm not distracted by a cute boy, whatever. Like now I'm like, okay, now I'm a grown ass woman. Now I know what I need to do. And now I'm not as scared. I'm not scared of evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like now I can look evil in the face and say, get out of here. Like you don't belong here. Or now I can laugh at evil in the face. And yeah, it could be scary here and there, but it makes me laugh. Um, when I'm in joy, that's all that could come out is laughter and be like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I had to develop this kind of strength that comes with maturity. So yeah, you know, everything has a season.
That's really beautiful. And I'm just keeping track of time. We are probably getting closer to like an hour and something minutes.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that's a beautiful way to end this. That feels right to me. Um, Before we do, close this off, is there anything else that you would like to share, that you feel called to share, with anybody that's currently listening?
Well, I guess connected to life and spirit is that you have to declare yourself the winner, because every time you aspire to accomplish something that requires external validation, just know that it's not as important as you knowing that you're a winner. And, when the sperm penetrated the egg, instantly you're the winner, right? Because a million
Mm-hmm.
sperm needed to be you. And to me, I was in therapy for 2 years because I didn't feel good enough. And then the therapist said to me, good enough for what? And I'm like, oh, you're right. It's kind of a program that runs all human beings.
Right.
We all feel like we're not good enough, but good enough for what, I went, oh my God, I never thought of that. And then she says, and then I remember like someone said, do you think God like puts everybody in a line and says, you're good enough, you're not good enough, and then points to people who are not good enough? And then I realized, well, you're good enough if you're born, because if you weren't good enough, you couldn't be born, right?
True.
Physically, right? And the
Mm-hmm.
thing is that you're good enough spiritually because you're a hologram. So you have enough light filling you up in order for you to appear here in the third dimension. So you're good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so this idea of not being good enough is not real. It's just a mechanism that runs us, and it's a little voice. It's always like, ah. So you got to say thank you for sharing. I am good enough. As a matter of fact, I'm the winner. I'm a winner. I was born today, and today I get to declare that I am a winner just because I say so. And
Mm-hmm.
that's incredibly powerful, right? Because we're all constantly waiting for someone to validate us and say, "Oh my God, now or a degree. Like now I have a BA, now I have a PhD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I have the right car. Until you know that you are a winner, you will never. It'll never be enough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I walk around life, going, I am a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then because I've gotten so much rejection and no's, that if you were to look at all the no's I've gotten versus all the yes, you would think, oh my God, that Josefina's a loser, right? But I say no, I'm a winner because I have not given up on my dreams. I'm still declaring that I am a winner, and that's how come I keep fighting for my dreams. So I would tell that people is that you have the power to love yourself for no other reason than because you can choose to love yourself for no other reason, but because you can choose to love yourself for no other reason because you could choose to love yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're like, oh, when I lose the weight, when I'm pretty enough, when I'm no, you can love yourself right now, and you could declare yourself away. You have that kind of power, and when you realize, oh my God, you're right, I'm so powerful, I can declare that, and I can live that as though that's true, because most of the time we're saying we're losers and that we're this and that, and we live as though that's true, and that's not true either,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we can declare whatever we want and live it as though it's the truth in the present, and that's the reality that gets manifested,
Mm-hmm.
sharing that reality. So I would say that's it. That's the most powerful thing I've ever learned.
That's really beautiful. And just my body is shaking a lot. And usually when
Yeah, you feel
people,
the
yeah, I feel the frequency rising a lot. So that's why I'm trying to like sit very quietly in my corner, but like my body is shaking. So that was really beautiful, really well said. And in case if people haven't figured it out or don't know, Josefina, I've worked with her for 5 years, going to be 5 years actually in a few weeks this fall. Um, and I think one of the things that I can share with you all is that she is someone that will push you when you're kind of like, I don't want to do something, or you're just feeling hesitant. She is the person to kind of push you in the right direction. And it'll really transform your life. It'll really change it. And I can even say I'm only 27. I started on my path at 22. I've always joked and said, what the heck did I do in past lives? Because I've been
and
hearing
I told you
dead
what you did
people.
past life, right? I
Yeah, there are
told
times where I'm like, well, what exactly did I do? Um, and I can say that she's been a really big blessing in my life and of course in other people's, just because she has been somebody that has been very consistent, has been a witness for a lot of things that I've experienced with like the paranormal and then just everyday life things, and has been somebody that I've learned a lot from. And I know others, of course, have learned a lot from her as well. Um, and yeah, I just want to again extend just gratitude for you being here tonight and sharing your experiences. Some of these I'm pretty sure you haven't shared publicly before, so I feel very grateful that you felt very comfortable sharing it here. And
I'm
actually,
proud of you, right? Because I know a couple of years ago I was trying to get you to do something like this, and you
yeah.
weren't ready, right? And now you're
Mhm.
ready.
So yeah, this podcast is about maybe 5 years in the making. I always tell people too, but I think it's about 5 years. And again, I always credit Josefina with that because I know that we did little videos and things, and even doing readings out in public. And I was terrified the entire time because I remember thinking, like, people are gonna think I'm crazy and they're gonna be very skeptical, which I mean, that still happens. But now I feel more confident, and not in an arrogant way, but I feel more confident in being able to, relay the messages that are coming through. And again, that's thanks to you for not like being like, okay, I can walk away now if she's not going to do it. No, you've been somebody that's been very supportive and
I think
very
my gift is that
gentle.
I'm able to see what people are capable of doing.
Hmm.
And so I already can see what you can do. And so sometimes it takes people a couple years to go, okay, I'm ready to do it. And because it scares them, and I realize that. And then I go, okay, I've had to learn patience and go, oh, I already see you doing it, so I know you can do it because I took a peek at the future and I see you doing it. So if I already it's already in the future, then I know you can do it.
Hmm.
So it's if it's you do it now or you do it 5 years from now, it's gonna happen anyway.
Yeah. And again, I think, yeah, a lot of the advice you've given me throughout the years, when it does end up happening, I'm like, hey, you were right. I was doubting it because I was caught up in my own like ego-filled fears and doubt, or not feeling like this is the right path and so on. So again, thank you for that. And where can actually people find you on social media if they want to connect with you more about the paranormal, or just to keep up to date with real women on Broadway? Yeah.
Josefina Lopez .biz, like business, but biz, and it's Josefina with an F. The Spanish version of it. And I have to update my website. You just reminded me I got to get on my website and change some things because I haven't even put the announcement of the musical yet. But oh, okay. Anyway, I got homework now.
Okay, good. And is there any other places, or that's just like the main
I
one?
would say that's the best place because I
Okay.
am on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me. I always try to share, as much as I can without revealing too much, like. Yeah, I don't need any more stalkers. But if you want to be my stalker, I'm gonna. I thank God I said go. I remember one time I had a stalker, and then I got scared for like a second. And the thing about it is, when you get scared, you go to lower frequency, so you quickly
Hmm.
got to get out of there, and you
Hmm.
got to say, okay, God, send me as many stalkers as you like because they all need help. So I guess I'll help them. Have clients, they'll come to me. You know. So
Mhm. All right. Well, thank you again for being here tonight and spending this time with me. It's always a lot of fun. And I want to say thank you all who are listening tonight as well. We've officially completed the first episode of the Spiritual Chancla. So thank you. And very much like I used to say on the radio show, thank you for allowing me into your space, into your home, into your car, wherever you're listening to this from. It's a privilege, one that I don't take lightly. Yeah, so thank you. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.